everybody. My name is Allan. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. As I was driving over to the studio to get ready for the show tonight, I had the radio on and I was listening to the news just to see what had gone on today. I hadn't listened to it before, and you know, as the news normally does, it tells that there's trouble here, there's trouble there, there's a situation here developing, there's a fire here, there's a war here. And I was just thinking, you know, like all those things are apparent problems, are apparent situations that really need to be dealt with. But really, for a human being, the root of all these situations and the thing that causes us not to have the experience of love and the experience of connectedness and the experience of bliss in our lives and contentment is that we don't feel connected to love. We don't feel connected to each other. We don't feel connected to the truth. And as I've said so many times, that's what Bridging Heaven and Earth, that's what this show is about. On the opening, we talk about dedicated to the oneness. And the show is, again, a tool, hopefully, for more and more of us to experience that connection to the one, to the whole, to the everything, to what has traditionally been called God. And that is possible. It has always been possible, and in my experience, it is more possible now in this new millennium, in the year 2000, than ever before, for more and more of us, not just for the great saints or the masters or the people who are known throughout history as the Jesuses or the Krishnas and Buddhas, but for all of us, of all races, sexes, creeds, of all nationalities, of all ages. Now is the time for us to experience the one. And in that, the problems will be solved. We will recognize our own brotherhood. We will recognize our own sisterhood. We will recognize our connection to the trees and the dolphins, and we will treat everything with that love and with that respect. That when we hurt something else, the oceans or the dolphins, we're hurting ourselves. When we're cutting the trees down randomly, we're hurting ourselves. And when that starts to happen, truly we will come into the golden age, the age where love and truth and consciousness and collaboration and connectedness and bliss, real joy and bliss, are the calling cards of that time. And for all of us here at Bridging Heaven and Earth, we're just honored again to be with you. And tonight we have an interesting show because we've been getting just enormous numbers of calls from all over the world through the internet. People have been calling from Croatia and Yugoslavia and France and England about the show because they see the website and they could actually watch whole shows on the internet. And a lot of the shows we have just extraordinary guests from all over the world. And we've been getting a lot of requests for people asking about what I'm really like and what my philosophy is. And usually you get a joke or two here or there and a comment or two here and there, but you can't get a feel for it. As it turns out, this show we had a guest who canceled with not that much time left. So everybody encouraged me to put on this video. It's called Your Father Loves You, and it was a video that we did. A good friend of mine put it together with me about 4 or 5 years ago, Bob Grunenberg. And so we decided to show that video tonight. It's about 45 or 50 minutes, and we'll show that, and then I'll come back. And if you have any questions, you know how to reach me, and there'll be graphics on it throughout the show. So tonight we're going to show this video, Your Father Loves You. Now, please join me just to set up and just to relax into the show for a short meditation. Thank you. So whenever we're ready, it's a video I did a while ago. It's called Your Father Loves You. I think you'll appreciate it and you'll get a feel for where I'm coming from, where I was coming from then. And if you have any questions, you know how to reach us. So whenever you're ready. My name's Allan, and I'd like to thank you for having the intention to take your time and attention and listen to this video, and hopefully we could share something and it'll be beautiful for you, and hopefully it'll be beautiful for me too. Really what I wanted to talk about was love. Not the love that we can have for each other, not the love we could have for our children or our mates or our husbands, wives, or relatives, or even just random people, but the love that we can feel inside that's not dependent on anything. Recently I had an experience where, for me, it was, I wouldn't call it a crisis, I would call it a period of spiritual, I'd say reawakening in a sense. And what I asked for in my prayers was to be told what would be of value, for me to share with people, and what was a gift that I had that I could do that with. And what came to me is that the thing that sometimes I don't understand, and at this particular point I wasn't understanding, and that a lot of people don't experience or understand a good deal of the time, is how much they're really loved, how much they're made of love, how much, basically just how much the Creator or their Father, or however you look at the Supreme Power, just loves them. How much that we're made of that love, and how powerful that can be in a human life to have that experience. At this time there are just incredible numbers of spiritual paths and religions and self-help groups and 12-step programs, and I don't know, more on TV, where everyone on TV is there's always a talk show, there's always some amount of a Donahue or a Oprah or something discovering things and reaching into things and talking about things that hadn't been talked about. I don't know if they'd be better left not talked about, but they're being talked about now, and all in the desire to help people. In the spiritual, in the New Age path, there's incredible amounts of groups and paths and teachers and gurus and techniques and tools and methods and books. And I mean, you go to any bookstore, I mean, I'm from Santa Barbara, and you go to the Earthling bookstore, you go to the, Barnes & Noble, any bookstores. I mean, the New Age sections are huge and huger. It's just, it's unbelievable. And the thing that, in my experience, what's being left out is that there's something about the love, something about what we're made of, something about the non-separation of human beings, the transcendental quality that we all can share, that we're really made of God, that we really are God. There's not a female God or a male God. There's not a Jewish God or an Arab God. There's not a black God or a white God. There is only one God and one Father and one Creator. And because we forget that, the things that happen in this world make sense. Because we don't experience that, the things that happen in this world make sense. That we fight, and there's Bosnia, and there's Rwanda, and just the incredible anguish we place on each other. And it's done because we don't experience the love that we all share, the love of our common root. There's only one common root. I mean, people, and myself a good bit of the time, don't experience that really there's one Father, and that we're all children of that Father. There is no separate group of children, there's no special group of children, there's just children. And that all us human beings on this plane, on this earthly existence, are children of the Father. And for us to have that experience if we had that experience for 1 minute a day, it would change our lives. If we had that experience for 5 minutes a day, it would change the world. Actually, 1 minute would change the world. Because without that experience, then we have to feel separate. Then we have to be hungry for things outside of ourselves that can fulfill us, that can give us that sense of completeness, that sense of satisfaction. But truly, all the spiritual paths throughout history, all the teachers and all the masters, if they really experienced that, if they really knew that, knew the oneness and knew the transcendentalness and knew God, that it's really within. It's within inside us that we can experience the truth, that we can experience the love, and that we can experience the common denominator, the common unity. You know, so often we talk about in cities like Santa Barbara or in LA, I mean, I guess it's a few days before this election in '94. And, you know, everybody's saying that we can come together, that we can experience the common unity, that although there are differences between us, that, you know, we're of different colors and different races and different religions and different heights and different sexes and different sexual orientation, you know, and different everything. You know, we like different clothes and we like different cars and we go to different banks and we do all the different things. But what is the common unity? When are we ever going to have the common unity? And if we don't have the common unity, are those differences ever going to be painted over? Are those differences ever going to be treated in a way where we truly experience the oneness? And they probably won't. There'll always be friction and tension, because our happiness will depend on somehow our group being better than the other group, our team, our football team, our basketball team, our hockey team being better than the other team, the other city, the other country. I mean, what's nationalism? I mean, what are all these things except not recognizing the love of the common Father, of not recognizing the truth behind creation? I mean, here we are floating. I mean, basically, we're sitting, well, I'm sitting, I don't know where everybody else is sitting now. I assume everyone who's watching this is sitting somewhere on Earth, floating in space. I mean, the Earth is just floating in space. I mean, all of us, in a sense, are floating in space on a ball, just hurtling at zillion miles an hour through space. And yet we think we know. We think we have some idea of what the truth is. But do we experience the truth? The truth can only be one truth. There can't be a truth for every religion. There can't be a truth for every spiritual teacher. There has to be at some point where human beings experience the truth. The truth meaning that God within, the essence of what we are, the creative force of life. Because only in the creative force in life, the life force, is that the true root, the true common unity between all of us. And then we could really experience that not only are we all children of the one Father, no matter what religion we think we are, no matter what race we think we are, no matter what sexual preference we think we are, that we're really truly brothers and sisters on this earth, and we could begin to start to live like that. And then the separations between us won't exist, because the deepest root is the same. And at this point, we're not experiencing the deepest root, we're experiencing the lesser roots, and in that we're experiencing separation and tension, and in that what we have is war and hatred and all of that. Really, all of the negative things are coming individually. There's not a group that hates. There are groups of individuals that might get together to hate. But really that hate individually is only coming because of our lack of love, our lack of feeling love internally, our lack of feeling. The way I describe it sometimes is that our bike is being held up from the back, that God is with us, that we experience that the Father loves us. And when we experience it that way, it's not only our Father, it's truly the Father, that there's not different fathers or different creators. There's one creator here, and all the religions talk about the creator. All the New Age groups talk about the life force of God, or I that I am, or whatever, or trying to ascend into that experience. But for here on earth, we can have that experience enough to bridge gaps, enough to recognize our common unity. And if we don't do that, then everything that happens is from that misinterpretation, from that little
veering off from the root. And what'll result is tremendous anger and frustration. Why? Because we know, something in every human being knows that there is a oneness, that there is something that we all share in common, that there is the love of the Father. And we don't experience it. So we have to do all the things we do. We have to drink, we have to do drugs, we have to have, you know, all kinds of sex. Why? To try to fill that emptiness, that loneliness, that lack of experience. But there is a way for us as human beings to experience that oneness, to experience that, in fact, our bike is being held up from the back, that in fact we are made of love, and that everyone is our brother and sister, that everyone is a child of the same Father. I mean, I think I've said it, you know, 55 times in 12 minutes now, and it just seems like, in a way, that that's the message I'm supposed to be revealing or sharing in this particular tape, because I know without that, when I wasn't experiencing that, I mean, I think I've been blessed to a large extent for a lot of my life to have experienced that, to experience that I'm a child of the one Father, not the only child, but a child. And that has given me incredible love and freedom and bliss in this life. Not that I don't experience fear and jealousy and anxiety other times, but as a general rule, I feel tremendously gifted that that has been one of the gifts given to me. And other people obviously have different gifts than I do. But that has been a gift that has been given me, and in some way I was asked to share that gift. And I think that if whatever religious persuasion we have, or whatever we see ourselves in proceeding, either morally, spiritually, emotionally, or otherwise, if we're not ultimately, if the end result is not the love, if the end result is not that feeling within of the love and the connection to each other, and the trees and the birds and the earth and the horses and the, as the Indians say, the four-leggeds and the wingeds and the, you know, the just the creation, just the love of the creation, because that's what we are. We're not separate from any part of the creation. Then something's wrong with that spiritual group, and something's wrong with that religion. We don't have to wait till we're dead. We don't have to wait till the weekend. We don't have to wait to see the guru. We don't have to wait till the program's there. We don't have to wait. There's no waiting, because that's what we're made of. We're made of that love. That is the force, that is the creative force of the universe, is love. To a human being in a human body, if we can experience the creative force, that's what we feel. That is love, that is God, that is our Father, and that is the Father of all things. And without that, I just think it's a difficult path. But it really does exist that way, and we can experience it, and that the rest will come and go. The looks and the youth will come and go. The relationships will come and go. The children will come and go. I mean, although we think that we'll have a child, and you know, the natural course of events will take their place, and we'll die before the child. There isn't. I was talking to a friend just recently. I mean, we always think of, we always have assumptions. I mean, it was like I was saying before. I mean, here we are floating in space on a ball, and we think we know, but actually we don't. We have assumptions. We have assumptions that we're part of this actuarial table, that here I am in my 40s, and that I have 35 more years to live in my actuarial table. But there are people in the obituaries younger than me. There are people in the obituaries probably younger than everybody who's watching this tape, every day, even in a small place like Santa Barbara. So although we think we know, although it looks like our parents are going to be buried before us, there's no guarantee. On this plane, there's no guarantee except that we can experience love. There's no guarantee that we have another week to live, another year to live. I mean, in one of the Carlos Castaneda books, they talked about, you know, Don Juan talked about using death as an advisor, which always struck me as really interesting, because in a way what he's saying is that We don't know. Really, we don't know. I mean, every time we think we know, we should remember the one thought that we're just floating in space on a ball, and we don't know. So every idea we get of knowing is like preventing us from letting go into the unknowing. And that love is beyond our identity. It's beyond our separateness. So for us to start to experience the oneness, we have to start letting go of the things that are separate. We have to start letting go of our identity of being an American, of being a male, of being a homosexual or a heterosexual, of having our ideas and concepts that we think we know. At different points in our lives, we have to proceed as if we do think we know, because it gives us some stability to walk, and we need that. But at another time, we have to realize, like, in fact, we don't know, and that there's just a vast universe out here, and we're small grains of sand in that universe. I mean, in essence, I always thought of writing this book, and that for human beings, what they really want is to become nothing. They think they want to become something, but really what they want to do is become nothing, to unwind, to roll back all the identities and all the concepts and all the ways of being that we think we are, and to come into that childlikeness. Only in that childlikeness can we really experience the Father, because then we're back to being a child. We experienced the Father when we were children, but then we go through this process where we develop this I, me, mine, and we're separate. And this I, me, mine has different loyalties and different religions and different states. And you know, I'm a New Yorker, I'm a Californian, and all these differences. I'm a member of the Kiwanis Club. I root for the Chicago Bears. You root for the LA. All these ways of being separate. And then the spiritual path, in a way, or what religion in its essence, where all the great religions, the Buddhists, the Mohammeds, the Jesuses, the Krishnas, they all spoke of the oneness. They all spoke of that one true religion, that don't make this into a religion as opposed to other religions. Make this a religion that's of all religions. Make this an experience of truth, of God. Because that way we are all brothers and sisters. There's no separation. And then we can come back through the spiritual path, through the techniques and tools, through the teachers and the books, and through, mostly, as I've seen it, our prayer and our hunger to want to experience that love, to know that the separation, there's more to life, there's more to love than the separation. There's more than the wife and the family and the mortgage. Not that those are bad, but there's something that a human being can experience that will complete the human experience. That something that a human being can experience that will fulfill the human life, that will complete the human life, that will give the human life meaning on this earth, that will let us really be able to give love and to accept love, to share love in a true sense, because we're sharing it with other children of our one Father, other children of God. I mean, some people think, I guess in all religions, that the special ones, the Jesuses, the Krishnas, the Buddhas, the Mohammeds, the Sai Babas, the Rajneeshas, the Oshas, whatever names they're given at whatever time, these are the special ones, these are the children of God. But no, it's not like that. Each one of us in our own way is love. Each one of us in our own way is that child of God, and is loved no less than the Krishnas and the Buddhas and the Mohammeds and the Oshas and the Sai Babas is no less. And that experience can be had within us. And whatever we think that the highest form of experience can be had, we can have. It is possible for us, because that is our birthright. Now, whether we do or not in one lifetime or many lifetimes, there are certainly thousands of theories about it. Maybe we won't. But I know its potential. I know if our prayer is great enough and our dedication and our love strong enough, that it's available. And in that availability is our life. And all the spiritual paths and all the tools and techniques are trying to open a heart to that love, open a heart to that recognition of our, in a sense, nothingness. But in our nothingness, we can become merged with the everything, with the ultimate. And that's, as I've always seen it, it looks like people want to add on, want to take on another coat, want to take on another identity, another concept, another spiritual precept, another way of looking at it. But really what we want is to just unwind it all and be simple and childlike and get rid of the I, me, my, and have it as a thy will be done, and to be lined up that our will is thy will. I don't know what those horses are doing, but sounds like it'd probably be fun. But I mean, we want to feel that connection. We want to walk this earth feeling connected, because I know when I don't feel that connection, I feel lost, I feel disillusioned, I feel frustrated, I feel angry, I feel hurt, I feel betrayed, I feel deprived, and I'm just a human being with some gifts and not other gifts. So I suspect that most people, when they're not feeling really connected to their Creator, when they don't feel part of this game, it's not good enough to feel part of the family. It's not good enough to feel part of the LA Rams. It's not good enough to feel part of the New York Mets. It's not good enough to feel part of the Kiwanis Club. It's not good enough to feel part of the homosexual community. It's not good enough to feel part of the black community or the Asian American community or whatever the politically, or the white or the Simpson jurors or the whatever the politically correct terms are now. It's just not enough, because the human spirit is too vast. It's too all-encompassing to be fit into such a small package. I remember once, it was at a Sizzler restaurant, and this woman who we'd been friends and we had worked together in the spiritual path for a long time, she came to me and said, well, while we were eating, I mean, she didn't come to me, we were eating, and probably I was overeating at the time, so I couldn't think of anything except overeating, but she was thinking of something else, and she's turned to me and said that she really wanted to belong to me. And for me, it was like a non-compute, because the spirit that this girl was, I mean, at the point, at that particular meal, or at that particular juncture in her life for one reason or another, she wasn't recognizing that. But to me, it was just a non-compute that this person, with the vastness of their glory, could ever think of belonging to another human being. I mean, it was just incomprehensible to me. But we can think that in relationships, in religions, in spiritual paths, that we want to take this incredible glory that we are and belong to somebody. And all it says to me is, you need to experience more of what you are. Because if you experience for 1 second what you are, truly, the glory that in a sense you and the Creator came together to create in you, or that the Creator created, or however you want to look at it, however the words would be used to look at it. If you for one moment experience that, you wouldn't think about belonging to anything again in that way, any earthly thing. It's just because you're one with it, you're part of it. It's not that you can be separate from it and belong to it. But because we don't experience that, we want to place ourselves in positions where we're not helping and we're not perpetuating that glory that we truly are. And we pay, you know. It's not like it's bad and it's a sin and you go to hell or anything like that. All it means is you're not going to feel as much as you can feel. You're not going to feel the beauty and the glory and the connectedness and the incredible gift of this earth and all the other children on the earth and all the other birds and animals and the ocean and the mountains and just the beauty of the Creator giving His children a chance to experience both internally and externally what an incredible Creator we have. What an incredible glory is the Father. And if we're not connected to that and we're caught up in our ideas and our concepts and our perceptions of things, and we're not letting go into that love, and we're not experiencing the true love, then that's going to be the result. And all the result is going to be is that we're going to have less experience than we want, than our heart yearns for. Our inner heart yearns to experience that love. It knows, something in us knows that we're meant for it. That's why there's so much anger and frustration when we don't have it. That's why we'll fight over a piece of land. That's why we'll fight over some bit of insanity. That's why people shoot each other over what TV program to watch. Now, how pathetic is that? But we've all felt like it to one extent or another. I want to watch that. My happiness is dependent on that. I once lived in this house with a bunch of people who were following a spiritual path, and I had this really good friend, this woman, and for some reason she and I had a different perception of how we wanted to keep the temperature. And she had the idea that she wanted to keep the temperature cold, and I wanted to keep it warmer. So we'd have this battle over a thermostat. So she'd come and turn it, if she wanted to keep it colder, she would keep turning it down. Every time I'd feel it or see it, I'd turn it up. And she and I basically loved each other on a lot of levels. But we would get in these incredible fights and just back and forth on the thermostat. And then we'd wonder, and it almost became to the point where my happiness was dependent on keeping that house warm. And her happiness was dependent on keeping it cold. And we were almost, you could see, at one point we realized that and started laughing, that this is how wars start. That this is how we can, as individuals, get to a point where we're willing to shoot each other over the temperature in a house. And neither one of us really cared that much. But what is the reality of it? The reality of it, at that time, I wasn't connected enough and she wasn't connected enough to the experience of the oneness. So that we could deal with this thing, this temperature, from that place of that we loved each other. But instead we were adversaries, we were enemies. And that you look around the world and that's the way we approach things. Not that we're together in this and we're brothers and sisters and we're children of the same Father, and how can we make this work? How can we make, on this plane, on this third dimension, on this thing where things are gross and there are driver's license and birth certificates and cars and vehicles and all these things that are on this earth, how do we make it work? How can we really work together? We're not going to be able to unless we have the experience of the common unity. There's only one common unity. Now we could have other derivative common unities, as I said earlier, but for us to really, as human beings, as one, I mean with the information highway now, I mean the world, I mean you can hook into CompuServe or Prodigy or, I don't know if most people are at least a little familiar with, you know, the online services or the computer superhighway. But you can hook into people all over the world. I mean, it's unbelievable. You sit at your desk and you're talking to people on time, in line, in Czechoslovakia, in Hungary, in Russia. Our former enemies, and here you're just talking about the new computer games. You're talking about whether Myst is better than Doom, whether, you know, what do you think about the new Star Wars movie? Can you get me a pirated copy? I mean, frankly, in a way, it's unbelievable. So, in some way, the world is getting smaller. It's so small now that we can no longer afford the luxury of our feelings of separateness. You know, it's like now's the time. Now's the time where that message of the common unity, of the Father's love, of the oneness of all the children has to be made real. Because if it's not made real, and we're not allowed to experience that, all the shows and all the self-help groups and all the spiritual paths, if they're not leading us to that love and that experience of love, are not going to change anything. That somewhere along the line, all the tools and all the techniques and all the meditations and all the trips and all the they're all beautiful, but they really have to lead us to that common experience. Because that is the root of life on this planet. That is the root, actually, of life in the universe, is that we're made of the same substance. That if you split the atom, there's that light, every atom. Not the atom of one type of thing versus another type of thing, but there's that same light. There's that same vibration. That there's the lowest or the highest form or the most base form of everything is the same. And as a human being, we're given the glory and the opportunity to experience that which is the base of all life, that which is life itself. And if we don't, we feel less than full. We don't feel happy. I mean, to me, in a simple way, what all the spiritual paths are, what all the tools are, what all the hope is, all the taking of drugs, all the desires for relationships, all the experiences of drinking, is like either to experience happiness or to like bury ourselves that we can't, or to like just deaden ourselves or dull ourselves and say, well, I can't, it's not here, it's not available. But it is available. If our prayer is strong enough, it is available. If our hunger is strong enough, it is available. That is the path of a human being. That is the destiny of a human being on earth, is to experience that love. And if we're not experiencing it, we're not going to feel happy. And that's really, I mean, as I started to say earlier, I did say, I'm saying it again, but it's just to be happy, simple. Happy that's not dependent on getting the raise. Happy that's not dependent on the lover loving us. Happiness that's not dependent on our children respecting us. Happiness not dependent on our team winning. Happiness not dependent on the weather being sunny. Happiness not dependent on all external things, but happiness welling up from within. Happiness because we're made of happiness. Being in connection with the true happiness. Being in connection with the true love. And I really feel like somehow it's not this message of really the love, you know, it sounds connection, the love connection, because it's some show on TV where people meet each other. But with, I think, something like Jim Woolry or something, I've passed through it when I was chattel flipping, but really, I mean, without that love connection, the true love connection, what could exist for us except continuous frustration? The high of seeming like something's working out to the low of it doesn't. Everything does and it doesn't. Everything is made of that, on this particular plane, the duality of it. The love and the hate. The giving and the taking. But there is like a place in between. There is a place of non-judgment, of love. There is a place where you see what is here. You see the duality, and what you're experiencing is the true love. And that's what we want. And we have the opportunity now, and hopefully the message will go out more and more. Hopefully we'll be in a position where I've been told that for one reason or another, this particular Earth plane in this third dimension has gotten so screwed up and so offline and so disharmonious, which we can imagine. I mean, I guess it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, after a week of trying to find out what happened to these two carjacked children, 3 and 1.5, that it turns out that their mother drove them into the lake and drowned them. And it's like, huh? You know, so many things in life, I mean, for me, I just go, huh? But we get so twisted and so far away from that common unity and that Father's love. We feel so separate and so weird and so crazy and so disharmonious that we can actually conceive of the idea, and not only conceive of it as an idea, but carry it out and just drive this car to the lake, strap our 2 children that came through our body into this world that in some way, for some time, we love. Get out of the car with them strapped in and push the car into the lake. We could do that. We could do what we do in Bosnia. We could do what we do in Rwanda. We could do what we do in Palestine. We could strap a bomb to ourselves and get on a bus during the most crowded time of the day and take out as many people with us as we can. That's how separate we can feel. Under some name of religion or history or right, that we're in the right. We're willing to give our life for the right. We're willing to fly our plane into the United States carrier. We're willing to be a kamikaze. Are we experiencing, when we're doing that, the oneness of the creation? I don't think so. I really don't think so. But we can. And in order to stop these things and really to have peace in the world, not an absence of war, because there'll always be some sort of terrorist, there'll always be some sort of nut, there'll always be some sort of frustrated country where a Hitler will come up, a nationalism will come up that, well, the Russians have been down too long, well, the French have been down too long, we got more bombs than anybody else, we got the biggest bomb by some fluke, let's use it. Let's threaten to use it. And if we don't, get what we want, hell with it. Let's use it. Why not? Let's put all these people in concentration camps. Yeah, what the hell? Let's do experiments on them. We're the better race. We're the Aryan race. We're the white race, the black race, whatever race. We're the Bosnians. We're not the Serbs. We're not the Croatians. We're the better race. We deserve better. We're the Jews. No, we're the promised people. We're the honored people. We're the Palestinians. We own this land. We were promised this land. We're the fundamentalists. This is our place. What about the common unity? When is that ever going to be? It has to be. There's no other experience, really, except if we're not having the deeper experience. If we're stopping at our ball team, at our sexual preference, at our religious beliefs, then there's going to be an opposing force. I mean, there's even opposing forces in Christianity. We all love Christ. Yes, Christ is the Savior. Yes, that's true. But in there, you're doing it wrong. No, you're doing it wrong. No, you're doing it wrong. I'm going to fight you. I'm going to have a holy war with you because you're not doing Christ right. You don't understand Christ. And how is it that everybody thinks that? How is it that every spiritual teacher says that every other spiritual teacher doesn't teach the right thing? What is that? And you're supposed to be taught in some way the oneness, the transcendentalness, the love of the Father. You're supposed to experience that you are a child of the Father. And how is it, somehow, that sooner or later we're made to feel that this is a separate group, that it's we versus them? How is it that it works that way? Because there's a tremendous force in a human life to identify with something that is more concrete in a way. But there's nothing more concrete than the love of the Father that we can experience within. That has to be our prayer. Because without that, there's no hope. Really, in a way, without that, there's no hope, because there'll always be separations between religions of the same religion, between spiritual people as opposed to other spiritual people. That your guru is not as good as my guru. My guru is a real good guru. My guru can walk on water. Yours can only make ash. My guru can know all the... My guru knows more than Nostradamus knows and makes all the predictions. Your guru, but where's the love? What about the love? When does the love connection come in? Not on television, not on Oprah, but into your heart, into my heart. When does that become that switch get clicked, that it doesn't get clicked out? When does that reality get finally connected? Well, that has to be our prayer. That's my prayer every day. Please open my heart. Please, Father, let me experience more of your love today. Let me experience that it is you who is talking, that it is you who is walking this earth, and that in that I could experience everything. And the more I do that, and the more my prayer is there, the more my experience is there of that. And the more my life is beautiful. Of course, there are occasional ups and downs in that, and occasional, I would call them spiritual wake-up calls, or spiritual kicks in the pants. But basically, in my life, it's been like a progression of that, what I would call a prayer for more faith, a prayer for more surrender. And ultimately, which is the same, the more faith you have, the more surrender you have. The more surrender you have, the more experience you have. And the more experience you have, the more faith you have. And it's like that triumvirate of prayer, in a way. And then the gift is given somehow. The gift is given, it looks like, the way I experience it, through our effort. But in essence, it's a gift. It's a gift that's like, okay, my child, you understand enough. Okay, my child, your hunger is strong enough, then let you have this experience. And then the love is stronger, and then the connection is realer. And we can walk this earth unafraid, because we're connected to the Father, because the Father is with us, because we're children of this earth, and we're made of love, and we can play. We can use this incredible kingdom to play as human beings and play together instead of fighting each other, instead of debating issues, instead of hurting each other and separating each other and imprisoning each other and robbing from each other and selling horrendous drugs to each other for money and selling products to each other that we don't need for money. That we can live on this earth and enjoy the bounty and the beauty. There's enough food and land to feed everybody. Why should there be people? It always struck me as odd that we can get, for money, we can get things all over the world. And we can't get water to the people in Africa who are going through droughts. We can't get food there. And then when we get the food there, the administrators sell it back to Americans. I mean, what goes on? What possibly goes on in that disharmony? Everything, every kind of lunacy. But there's enough bounty on this earth to have us all fed and clothed, to have us all live in reasonable houses, to have us all feeling loved. Because it's not the size of the house that makes you feel loved. It's not even the size of the meal or the amount of the water. I mean, once you get past the basic necessities of the human body. It's really the feeling of love. The feeling of that I am loved, I am capable of love, and I am loved. And in my life, it's been that people who love you will not love you. People who say you're wonderful will say you're not wonderful. But there is an internal experience. And the more you experience it, you realize that that is what you really are. That is a constant love. That is a more consistent love. That is a love. Well, not only is it more consistent, it's like it's always there. It's just your concentration on it, or your turning to it, or your being with it, or your prayer for it. But basically, it's what you're made of, today, tomorrow, and every day. So, I mean, I guess, I'm making this tape, and it seemed like the thing to do, and really what I wanted to do was just to let everybody know who hears it, that to open your heart for a minute, if you could, and know, really know that you are loved, that the Creator, that the Father, that God loves you, and 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 all of you. and that's just the way it is, and that if you could just open yourself to that, and I can open myself to that, this would be a much more wonderful place to live, and for each of us, our lives would be just incredible, incredibly more open, incredibly more loving, and just incredibly more fun. More important, really, to me, is like to have the true fun, the fun of the child in this incredible bounty, the fun of us all playing together with the birds and the animals. I mean, today at my house, this friend came over and we saw this deer together, and it was just so beautiful. I mean, I felt so fortunate, so blessed. You know, just out eating and running around, and it's there. I mean, we, in a way, at least in America, I mean, it seems to be getting somewhat ruined now, but I mean, just these incredible, like Yosemite or, you know, the Grand Canyon, you know, we set these places aside, like, for everyone to come. I mean, hopefully we come, and we come with the respect and the dignity that these incredibly beautiful gifts deserve, and we treat them with that kind of respect and dignity as we treat everything and everyone. But because of our separateness and our frustration, we don't, and our anger. But the potential is there for true love to happen. True love, not externally, but like between, at the beginning, what we consider us, the illusionary us, the I us, and our Father, our child and the Father. And then as we experience more, those become blurred. And we experience just that we are love, the Father is love, and that's what this existence is for, is to experience that love and to share that love with as many people and as many things as we can, either verbally, non-verbally, vibrationally, but just that's what we're here for, that's what we're here to experience, that's what we're here to share with everybody. And in that play, and that love, and that path on this earth, that we can just really, it could just really be an incredible place, that it could really be an unbelievable bounty of joy for us. So, I mean, I hope this, you know, meant something to you, and because, I mean, I've had an incredible experience. I don't know how long I've talked, but, you know, again, you know, thanks for taking the time and the attention to listen to this, and, you know, just God bless you, and really know that you are love, you're made of love, and that you can feel that love. So thank you very much. Well, you see, I do have eyes. So anybody who was wondering, I actually do have eyes, and I still do. But it's not really, it wasn't very bright out there. So I hope you liked the video. I hope you get a feel for, you know, a more extensive experience about, you know, why I try to do this show and why everybody associated with Bridging Heaven and Earth tries to do the show. And what really the message is that we are part of that whole, we are part of that one, and that it can be experienced. And when that experience really does happen, we're different, the world is different, and everything is different. So good night, God bless you, thank you. Come again, we have great guests, thank you.